Clerk makes it super easy to implement multi-tenant authentication structure for managing organizations. So if you're building a B2B SaaS application in a multi-tenant situation, think of it as like in GitHub, where you can have a personal account, but you can also be a part of a team, a workspace, or an organization. We're going to have an overview of the features that Clerk provides and the drop-in components, like always, that Clerk has that makes our job as developers easy to implement this in under 10 minutes. But before we dive into actually applying this to the code, I want to go over what it is and what features there are, and then we're going to build a mini app in Next.js to show it all and to implement it in action. So organizations are a flexible and scalable way to manage users. Organizations allow you to also define roles and permissions for users. So not only you can isolate users or group them inside of an org, inside of a team or workspace, you can also assign different roles and different permissions and control who can do what. And the good thing is that you could use it for free. You get 100 active organizations for free in the free plan or the free tier that each can have 5 active members. Now, what active organization means and what active users are, you could read the docs for it, but an organization is active and it has at least 2 members, and a member or a user is active if they have returned to your app or to your organization, in this case, after they sign up, after 24 hours after they have signed up. So if they sign up and never come back, then they're not counted as an active user for that org, which makes it way more flexible in terms of cost for your business if you're starting up your SaaS startup. Now, let's enable organizations, and I'm going to walk through different settings that we have in the docs as we see it in the dashboard. I've already created an application in Clerk called Clerk Organization, and we're going to go under Config and scroll down to see Organization Management under Setting. You can toggle this on and off. When you start, it's going to be off like this. You have to go ahead and toggle it on, and you have some settings here. What is the default role for the members that you add to this organization? By default, it comes up with 2 roles, admin and member, with different access level and permissions. We're going to look at it in a second. But you can also have different roles or assign different roles, assign a different role for members that they're joining, or the first role that they're going to get by default. Now, the creator's role is the role of the creator. So whoever creates the organization first is going to be the creator, and by default, it's going to be an admin. Again, you can change this default. I'll show you later on. Default membership limit. As I mentioned, you can have 5 members or users per organization on the free plan. If you want more or unlimited, you can go to the pro plan. The next one is all new members. To delete, you can toggle this off. You can allow them to create or delete. In this case, down here, you can allow new members to create organizations. You can allow them to create unlimited organizations, or maybe even limit them to how many organizations the new members can create, or even disable this. So members of an organization cannot create new organizations on their own. Now, verified domain, I'll leave that off for now. We're going to come back to this inside of our app. This is so if you have verified domains in your organization that ends up, let's say you add clerk.com or example.com as a verified domain, then anybody with that email can be automatically added to that org or automatically receive a suggestion to join, which we're going to see in action. It's pretty cool. So it automates or streamlines onboarding new users within your organization as an add-on feature. So this is not included in the free tier, but I'll show it to you how it works if in case you are interested. Now, on the roles and permissions side, there are 2 roles that's defined by default, the admin and the member. and they have all system level permissions that are defined here. So let's toggle this on to see the system permissions. We have profile delete, manage, and domain delete, manage, billing, and whatnot. These are system default permissions that are created by default and are necessary for Clerk to operate. But you can create new permissions on top of what's already here, new roles, and assign permissions to them. We're going to do that at the end when we are creating a mini sample app. So let's go back to the documentation. So we can create a new organization in two ways. One, inside of the Clerk dashboard. So let me show you what that looks like. Now that we have enabled organizations, we can go under Orgs tab and we can create an organization right here. Or we can allow the users who join our app to create organizations if they want to. I'm going to show you it from the app, but you get the idea. You can create it from here, assign it an owner from the users of that application and whatnot. Now, for managing our organization or adding orgs feature to our app, Clerk has, again, drop-in components that you can use that encapsulate all the APIs that's necessary for managing this complex multi-tenancy authentication system. We have create organization component, which allows the users to create an organization. Organization profile, which looks like the user profile, but for the organization, for the team. An organization list, which is going to be the list of all the organizations a user is a member of. And the organization switcher, which builds on top of these other components and handles all of the organization flows. We're going to use this component inside of our app, and I'm going to show you how it has the create organization flow, the profile, and the list already inside of it. So let's actually go to our app and see this in action. I've started with a brand new Next.js app installed with ChatCN and Tailwind CSS. So out of the box, what you get, and what I've already added to my application is the header and footer component. In the header component, I have some signed out control flow component and some signed in. If you're familiar with Clerk, you already know these are condition or control components where if you're signed out, you're going to see this div. If you're signed in, you're going to see this. So I'm showing user button if you're not logged in. And if you are logged in, and if you're not, I'm showing a sign in button. So let's see our app and how it looks right now. So I have this sign in button and a page component. So that's all we have. Now inside of my header, what I want to do is to bring in the organization switcher. So organization switcher. This is from Clerk Next.js that I've already installed. And let's go back to our application. And right now I'm not signed in, so I don't see that organization switcher. So remember, I can only see this if I'm signed in. So let's go ahead and create our first user inside of our apps. So now I'm signed in, and you can see there is this organization switcher up top on the left. On the right hand side, you can see the user button that allows the user to manage their account, sign out, and whatnot. If you've used Clerk before as a user management, you already know this. But what we have added is this organization switcher up top at the left. So I have a personal account or a personal space like you would have on GitHub, but I also have the ability to create an organization. So let's go ahead and create an organization. I'm going to call this Broker Hub. You can upload an image for logo, so why not? Let's just do this as well to make it look nice. And then I can create an organization. Now, as part of this creating organization flow, I can also invite new members. So I can just plug in emails and invite, and I can define what role I want to assign to that specific user that I'm inviting. I'm going to skip this a step, but I will show you how you can invite users in your app as well. So now in my org switcher, I have Broker Hub, and this is set now as my active organization. And I have my personal account, so I can switch between the two. And I'm going to show you later how you can actually tell which workspace or which organization am I currently in, or which one is active. So let's go to Broker Hub, and now I can manage. Now, this is the organization profile component that's just shown inside of a model. You can mount this so that it shows in a page. By default, it just shows up as a modal. So as you can see here, I have access to my org profile. I can go ahead and update my profile. This is the same stuff that I had when I created the organization. I can go to members. Currently, we have only one members. There's no invitations, no requests. So now from here, I can also go ahead and invite people. The same dialog that we had in the beginning, we have access to it here as well. So going back to our Clerk dashboard, me as the application owner can now see that an organization has been created here. I can see their members, their invitations, and their settings. Some of the settings that we mentioned through the platform that applies to all organizations can also be limited as a per organization basis. Like if you want to let them delete organizations or the number of members that they can create, this can be also set at an org's level. Now let's see other cool features that I mentioned. So let's go to our profile and let's talk about the verified domain. So let's add a verified domain. For example, I want to add hamidbahram.io, and I have different enrollment selections. I can have it so if a user adds in with this email on this domain, they're going to be automatically invited to join to my organization, and I don't need to approve any request. Or I can have it as an automatic suggestion where the user who signs up for the first time, they would see a suggestion to request to join to my org, but then I have to approve. I'm going to select this one, and I'm going to mark this as verified. You need to verify the domains that you add by receiving an email. If you're just going to mark it as verified for the tutorial purposes, so I'm going to add this domain. So now I have this verified domain added to my org. Let's open up an incognito window and go to our app. And this time I'm going to sign in with a different account that has that domain. All right, so I'm signed in right now. And if you notice, there's this notification under my organization switcher component. And now it detected that this new user is using the same domain that Broker Hub has as the verified domain. Now this user can request to join to my org because I selected automatic suggestion. I could have had the automatic invitation where they would see a join button here, and once they click join, they will be in the org. But right now, I need to still, an admin still needs to approve this. So let's go back to where I am in the app. And now as an admin, as the creator of the organization, on my end, I see another notification inside of my organization. And if I go to manage and members, I can see that somebody requested to join my organization, and I can go ahead and approve them. And now on their end, they're approved and added to my organization. Now they can go to the org, but because they are a member, they can only see members. They cannot invite new members. They cannot approve requests, and they cannot delete the organization here. But as a user, they can create organizations of their own. And remember, you can control if new members can or cannot do this at your app level. Okay, great. So now let's also talk about creating different roles and permissions. So let's go to the dashboard actually, and I'm going to go to the configure section, and I'm going to go down to organizations, roles and permissions. And let's say inside our app, we want to have a new permission assigned to a specific team. So let's go to permissions. And the way that you would create a new permission is give it a name. So I'm going to say user read access. You have to have a naming convention, and the recommended naming convention is org feature and then the action that they can take. And then you can add a description as well. So you create this permission. We have to add a description. So a user that is or who is allowed to read users' data or customers' data. So we create this permission, and we can go back to our role, and let's say we want to create a new role. So sales team. This is a new permission we want to give to our sales team. And now from the list of our permissions, we want to give them this user read, maybe customer, whatever I could have named this. Do we need a description here? Let's see. Yes, we do need. So this is sales team. And I'm going to create this. So not only I have a member, I have an admin, I can also have a sales team member, and all they can do is to access my users. Now, let's see how we can check if a user has a specific role or a specific permission on the application side. So let's go back to the documentation. We're going to go to verify a user's role or permission, and there is a different guide or section in the documentation for this where it's specific for authorization. So we have gone beyond authentication now. The user is logged in. Now we want to see if they are authorized to do what they intend to do, the resource they're trying to access, and the action they're trying to make. Now, the main way or the recommended way for you to do this is with the has helper function. So you get the has function from the auth object inside of your backend server or on the client side. You can do this on the page, on the router endpoints, on your server actions, or inside of the middleware to check any custom role or custom permission that you have created. Just keep in mind that this is not going to check for the admin or system level permissions. If you need to check for those, you need to check whether or not they have that specific role of admin or whatever you've assigned those system level permissions to. But any custom role and permission that you create, this has function has access to, and you can check it. The second way that you can do this is with the protect component. And with this component is a control component like the signed out or signed in component that just conditionally renders stuff based on this state. The protect component also has, you can pass props to it and you can check to see if a user has a specific permission with passing the key or a specific role. So let's see some examples of this, and then we're going to also implement this inside of our app. So in our app router in Next.js, this is the example here. We're getting the has function out of the auth object by just calling it. And here we're checking to see if the user has this specific permission. Now it is recommended to check for permissions rather than roles. So the more granular you check for the specific permission and the action that the user is trying to take rather than the role, but you can as well check the role here as well. So let's implement this inside of our app. I'm going to bring this in my homepage. So I want to see what role this user has. So let's bring in the auth from Next server. Let's turn this into an async function. And now let's say is admin. And I'm going to call the has function, and I'm going to say role is admin. And let's just plug this in here. So if the user is an admin, we're going to say yes, otherwise no. Let's go back to our app, refresh, and you can see this user is an admin. Let's go back to our incognito for this other user. So they're not an admin. So let's go actually in our dashboard and now assign a different role to our member. Now I can do this from the dashboard level, or the admin can also do this inside of the application. So maybe it makes more sense to do it inside of our app. I go to manage, go to members, and now under this drop down, I have a new role for each user. So let's select the sales team. Now this guy has the access that we've defined for the sales team now. Let's go back to our app and check for this specific permission. So what is the permission that we have? The permission, we called it org sale users, and then read. Can change or can read users. It's just for naming convention. Let's go back here. So for our admin, it would have made sense for the admin to be able to do this, but we didn't assign it to this role. So that makes sense. Now going back, we can see on this new member that we just changed their role to sales, they now have access to admin. Well, can read users data instead of that. The point is you now have granular access to your user management, organization management, roles, and permissions down to the permission level just by using this simple has function. You can also use this has function on the client side. You have to get it from the use auth hook that returns the auth object. You can access the has. As I said again, you can use it in the middleware, in your route handlers, server actions. You can check to see if they have that specific permission and access level for the action that they want to take. Now, from this point on, all there's left for you to do really in your application is deciding about other parts of this multi-tenant architecture, things like your database. It makes sense in this instance to store all of your resources with the organization ID in your database so you can filter and query the data belonging to a specific team or organization. On this auth object, you also get some orgs information back, like the org ID. This is the active organization, permissions, roles, and whatnot. You can dig deeper into what's returned from this auth object. And that's about it. We covered Clerk organizations, how to create one, the different features that you have in terms of roles and permissions, application level settings or organization level settings, how to invite members, how to verify domains, and use of the drop-in components that just make this whole thing so easy to implement. If you have any questions for me, drop them down in the comments. I'm starting to lose my voice. If there's any specific flow or feature that you want me to cover, also drop them down. I'm trying to create a series about Clerk organizations or building a multi-tenant app. So if there's any part of this process, even besides the authentication part, which Clerk makes it so easy, let me know down in the comments, and hopefully I will cover it in future videos. Until next time, bye-bye.